Hi, everybody, and good evening. I'm Steve Shamraz. Welcome to the Now Milwaukee on this Wednesday. Welcome to the downslope of your week. This is a story a lot of people have been debating today. By law, all men, we have to sign up for the selective service system at age 18. That then puts us on a list to join the military if there is a draft. However, our female counterparts don't do this. But some top military officials are talking about making some changes. Casey Geraldo talked with female veterans to get their take on opening up the draft to women. Casey?
I did. So here's the deal. At the end of last year, the Pentagon announced women would be included in active combat, and many already have been for years, including the women that I talked with. With that policy change, the Army Chief of Staff and the Marine Corps Commandant told a Senate committee yesterday women should have to enter a possible draft, too. Rachel Johnson and Stephanie Lamone both served in the U.S. military.
I loved it. I've always been proud of it.
Despite seeing some of the worst serving as a woman.
It's difficult. I know there's a lot of men out there that don't like women being in the service, and they say, yeah, send your daughters to the military to serve and get raped. You know, and that really just boils my blood inside.
The veterans tell me including women in selective service levels a gender playing field all women in the service have to navigate.
We want to be held to the same standard as men, and this is just another way to do it.
It's that fight for equality that has draft-age students at Marquette agreeing.
They want equality in the military, then they should have the same draft rules.
As women, we want equal rights, and we deserve them, so I think that would be a good advancement for our country.
They say if Congress changed the law and started a draft, they'd be there.
I see myself as an equal to men, and enrolling in the draft, if I had to, that would make sense.
It's not full consensus, however.
Physically, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem morally correct, in my opinion.
But Lamone says she wishes she could have the honor of enrolling. She says the change sends a message from the military to women in America.
We accept you. We know you can do the job.
It's important to keep in mind there hasn't been a draft since the Vietnam War, but Johnson says this is just another way the military is taking steps forward to be more inclusive.
Casey, thank you so much for that. The wife of Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz pleaded not guilty today to charges of money laundering. This all linked back to her husband's embezzlement from a police explorer fund. Glinowitz, you'll recall, killed himself last year. Staged it, though, made it look like a murder. His wife, Melody, is accused of using money from that police youth program to pay for personal expenses like a trip to Hawaii. Prosecutors say she embezzled up to $100,000 from that program from 2008 to 2014. If convicted, she would face a maximum 39 years in prison. This guy is the one accused of knocking over a statue of Abraham Lincoln in Burlington over the weekend. Jacob Hines faces criminal damage to property charges. Police say they are still searching for a second connected suspect. Sojourner Family Peace Center hosting a grand opening tomorrow in Milwaukee. Officials there say their new center will transform the community's response to family violence. Victims of domestic violence and their families will now have more access to more integrated and efficient services, all under one roof. That is nice to see. Storm Team 4 time now. A brief cool down.
Little guy.
Before another little guy warm-up.
Yeah, we're not talking 40s like West.
No extremes here.
No.
Just a little winter dip.
Just little ripples in the temps department. And really quiet conditions across southeastern Wisconsin. A very different look across Milwaukee compared to what it was yesterday. But the temperatures have slowly been sliding on down. We're sitting at the freezing mark right now in Milwaukee. Inland, though, the temps are already dropping below the freezing mark. We're watching the flurry chances come to an end. You can see off to the west, we've got clearer skies. So that's going to bring, yes, you guessed it, a little bit of sunshine as we kick off the day tomorrow. We're going to be talking, yes, about some cooler temperatures, but we're going to talk some arctically frigid, chilly temps coming up in our Geek Out session. Stick around for that, Steve.
Not here, though.
No, not here.
Jesse, thank you. You might want to call this the making a murderer effect. A record number of people exonerated last year in the popular Netflix series, getting some of the credit for that. Out of those 149 exonerations, 4 of them were here in Wisconsin. This report coming to us from the University of Michigan Law School. Researchers say more awareness and understanding from shows like Making a Murderer is helping prosecutors recognize the seriousness of this problem. An example here, a convicted murderer who was the subject of a podcast serial went back to court today. He's arguing he deserves another trial. The 35-year-old serving a life sentence for killing his high school girlfriend. The podcast questioned the fairness of Adnan Syed's trial. You can now take your cat or your dog on Amtrak, but they can only travel with you if that trip starts in Illinois, like Chicago or Naperville. Slowly, this program will expand to other long-distance trains throughout the country. You can only take your pet on trips up to 7 hours long. Now you know the recently named 4th richest person in the world helping out in the fight against the Zika virus. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says Facebook is partnering with a nonprofit in Brazil to raise awareness about this now public health emergency. Zuckerberg is worth about $50 billion. Earlier today, the governor of Florida has declared a health emergency in 4 counties because of an outbreak of the Zika virus. Over and out, both Rick Santorum and Rand Paul out of the race for the White House earlier today. Republicans still have plenty of people from whom they can choose. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, Chris Christie, John Kasich, Carly Fiorina, all still in the ring. For the first time in his presidency, Barack Obama today made a visit to an American mosque. He spoke with a crowd of Muslims just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Muslim groups have called for the president to schedule a stop at a U.S. mosque as a public rejection of Islamophobia. In case you'd not heard any of these stories today, now you know. Coming up, death to dieting, a new trend of losing weight and how more Americans are trying to get healthy once again. Plus, walking down the aisle anytime soon, how the Milwaukee area compares to Madison or Chicago when it comes to paying for the big day. This is the Now Milwaukee. Stay with us, everybody.